Netflix has 260 million subscribers. It's worth over $300 billion. It fundamentally changed how the world consumes entertainment. But Netflix nearly went bankrupt 3 separate times. In 2000, they tried to sell themselves to Blockbuster for $50 million and got laughed out of the room. In 2011, they made a decision so catastrophically stupid that they lost 800,000 subscribers in a single quarter. And in 2022, they lost subscribers for the first time in a decade, and Wall Street erased $170 billion in market cap. 3 near-death experiences. 3 impossible comebacks. This is the most resilient company in tech history. In 1997, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph launched Netflix as a DVD by-mail service. The legend goes that Hastings was inspired by a $40 late fee he paid a Blockbuster for a copy of Apollo 13. Whether that's true or apocryphal, the business model was genuinely clever. Order DVDs online, receive them by mail in those iconic red envelopes. Keep them as long as you want. No late fees ever. The early model was actually paper rental, $4 per DVD plus $2 shipping. It wasn't until 1999 that Netflix introduced the subscription model, unlimited rentals for a flat monthly fee. That pivot to subscription would ultimately define the entire entertainment industry for the next 2 decades. But first, Netflix had to survive. Near-death number 1, the Blockbuster meeting. The dot-com bubble burst in 2000, and Netflix was burning cash. The company had about 300,000 subscribers, but was losing money on every one of them. Hastings flew to Dallas to meet with John Andioco, CEO of Blockbuster, and proposed a partnership. Netflix would run Blockbuster's online presence, and Blockbuster would promote Netflix in its 9,000 stores. The price tag, $50 million. According to multiple accounts, the Blockbuster team tried not to laugh. Andioco reportedly dismissed the idea. Blockbuster had $6 billion in revenue. Netflix was a tiny, money-losing startup mailing DVDs. Why would they pay $50 million for that? Netflix went back to California and figured it out themselves. They cut staff by 1/3, focused ruthlessly on the subscription model, and leaned into their recommendation algorithm, one of the first sophisticated content recommendation systems, which helped customers discover DVDs they actually wanted. By 2003, Netflix had 1 million subscribers. By 2005, they were shipping 1 million DVDs per day. Blockbuster, still confident in its stores, didn't launch a competing online service until 2004, 4 years too late. Near-death number 2, the Quickster catastrophe. By 2010, Netflix had become a streaming giant. They'd launched streaming in 2007 as an add-on to the DVD service and had accumulated over 23 million subscribers. The stock price had gone from $8 to $300 in just a few years. Reed Hastings was on top of the world. Then he made a decision that nearly destroyed it all. In September 2011, Hastings announced that Netflix would split into 2 separate companies, Netflix for streaming and Quickster for DVDs. Each would require its own subscription. A customer who had been paying $10 for both was now looking at $16 for the same service, a 60% price increase. The backlash was instantaneous and brutal. Customers were furious, not just about the price hike, about the sheer inconvenience of managing 2 separate accounts, 2 separate queues, 2 separate websites. The internet exploded with mockery. To make things worse, when Netflix tried to register the @Quickster Twitter handle, they discovered it belonged to a guy named Jason Castillo, who mostly tweeted about smoking weed and Elmo. They hadn't even checked. Netflix lost 800,000 subscribers in Q3 2011. The stock crashed from $300 to $53, an 82% decline. $12 billion in market cap evaporated. It was one of the most spectacular self-inflicted wounds in corporate history. Hastings reversed course within 3 weeks. He killed Quickster, issued a public apology, and re-merged the services. But the damage lingered. Investors questioned his judgment. Competitors sensed weakness. And that 800,000 subscriber loss felt like the beginning of the end. It wasn't. Netflix used the crisis to accelerate a bet that would define its future: original content. In 2013, Netflix released House of Cards, its first major original series. It was the first show ever produced by a streaming service to receive major Emmy nominations. Then came Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, Narcos, The Crown. By investing billions in content that existed only on Netflix, Hastings ensured that customers couldn't get the same experience anywhere else. You could pirate movies. You couldn't easily replicate Netflix's growing library of exclusives. The stock recovered from $53 to over $700 by 2021. Netflix had turned a near-fatal mistake into the catalyst for its most important strategic shift. Near-death number 3, the streaming wars wake-up call. By 2021, Netflix looked unstoppable. 222 million subscribers. A stock price over $700. But the competitive landscape had transformed. Disney Plus, HBO Max, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock. Every major media company had launched its own streaming service. And they were pulling their content off Netflix to put it on their own platforms. In Q1 2022, Netflix reported something that hadn't happened in over a decade: subscriber loss. They lost 200,000 subscribers in a single quarter and projected losing 2 million more the next quarter. The stock cratered from $700 to under $170, a 75% collapse that erased roughly $170 billion in market value. It was the third time Netflix had faced an existential crisis. The company responded with moves that would have been unthinkable 2 years earlier. First, they launched an ad-supported tier at $6.99 per month, after years of Reed Hastings publicly swearing Netflix would never have ads. Second, they cracked down on password sharing, which they estimated affected over 100 million households watching without paying. Third, they diversified into live events, comedy specials, the Chris Rock Live special, and eventually live sports including WWE Raw and NFL games on Christmas Day. It worked. The password-sharing crackdown alone added an estimated 30 million paying subscribers in 2023. The ad tier attracted cost-conscious consumers who had been priced out. By early 2024, Netflix had surpassed 260 million subscribers, and the stock had recovered past $600. Another near-death experience survived. What can we learn from a company that nearly died 3 times? Lesson 1. The willingness to cannibalize yourself is the ultimate competitive advantage. Netflix killed its own DVD business to build streaming. Then it killed its no ads ever promise to survive the streaming wars. Companies that protect their existing model at all costs are the ones that actually die. Blockbuster protected its stores. Netflix destroyed its own past to build its future. Lesson 2. Mistakes are survivable if you respond fast. The Quickster fiasco was catastrophic, but Hastings reversed course in 3 weeks. The 2022 subscriber loss was terrifying, but Netflix pivoted within months. Speed of response matters more than never making mistakes. The companies that die are the ones that take years to acknowledge reality. Lesson 3. Content is the moat. Technology can be copied. Interfaces can be replicated. But a library of exclusive content that people actually want to watch, that's a moat. Netflix spends over $17 billion per year on content because they learned the hard way. In entertainment, you're only as good as your next hit. Netflix has been left for dead 3 times. Each time, it came back stronger. The company that Blockbuster laughed at for $50 million is now worth $300 billion, and Blockbuster doesn't exist. If you love these business comeback stories, subscribe. I break down a new one every week.